Greetings. In September, I did my first video talking about Instagram. That was weird because I actually joined Instagram back in 2013. But still, I decided to talk about it. And in January, I did my video talking about Threads. I was relatively new to Threads, hadn't been around all that long, and I talked about some of the positives and certain things about it that people might not necessarily like as much as they liked on that platform that the Musk Weasel owns. Yeah, I said it. And, I thought things were going well. Things aren't going so well right now on either of those platforms, and I'm going to talk about it. So here's what started everything. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, there was this message that was put out on Threads. I don't know if it went to everybody, but I was one of the people who got this message, and a bunch of other people got it also. And I don't know the guy's name, but he works for Meta. Meta is the company that owns both Instagram and Facebook and Threads. And what it said was that starting by the beginning of March, they were going to start pushing back on some of the political content that they have. And I mentioned in that other video that there was a lot of political talk, both sides. And basically, if you saw stuff that you liked and you either shared it or you left a comment on it, then you were getting more of that. I'm sure folks on the other side were getting the same thing. They've decided that unless you follow those people, you're going to start seeing less and less of that because they feel like they need to protect the general audience as it regards political stuff. Now, it's not only political stuff that's on there, but this is really a big deal. It's 2024. There's a big presidential election coming up. There's another Senate thing that's coming up. There's always the House every 2 years. You have these election things. And, people take sides and you get a lot of vitriol. Now, I'm not someone who necessarily puts a lot of vitriol. I share stuff I agree with. And if there's someone who agrees with a position I have, but they are angry about something or they're sharing some kind of news, because I don't really read the news. Um, I don't go to CNN. MSNBC isn't quite news, but I don't go there all that often. But I still see things time to time. I see it on the YouTube channel. Well, they're going to start suppressing all that. Now, I'm only connected to, let's see, I have 72 followers and I think I'm connected to maybe 30 or 40 people. But they give you the thing where it talks about, the people that you follow. And then this other thing where it says this is just the timeline. And a lot of the stuff I'm seeing in my timeline happens to be liberal stuff because I'm a liberal. And it never really thought much about it as far as, are they really going to send me, the stuff for liberals? But I guess that's what it is. So they're going to start suppressing that. But they don't tell me what I will be getting instead. So does that mean that the only stuff I'm going to get is stuff from people who I decide to follow? Like I said, I'm not following that many people. Does it mean that I'm going to get a lot of, weird stuff? For instance, I haven't heard anything about them suppressing all these women who are putting up the salacious pictures of themselves. I didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that coming because they suppressed a lot of that stuff on Instagram many years ago. And now it's on Threads. They haven't mentioned it, but maybe they're going to, start suppressing that. But still, the idea that they're going to suppress the things when they're the ones who pushed out the algorithms in the first place is bothersome to me, because I'm thinking that most of the time, if these are people that you're following, they know what you want to see. They know what you want to read. And there's nothing wrong with seeing all that stuff. But they're going to start cutting it back. And one of the other things that they've started to do already is that depending on what you say, I've gotten hit a couple of times where they're saying, do you want to re-say or restate what you just wrote? And that's basically a type of suppression. Now, I don't use any bad language. Believe it or not, at my age, I've never said a cuss word in my entire life. So it's nothing that I'm saying that way, but I see certain things. I may say something, usually a one line thing, but I've just gotten these messages a couple of times. I'm thinking, well, what the devil? Other people are putting up these things. You should see some of the stuff other people are writing. It's really vicious. That's not my style, but they're suppressing me. And it's like, no, that's just not right. Then, over the last couple of weeks, I've started having issues with Instagram. Now, this one is more irksome to me because I'm not sleeping well these days. I don't sleep a lot. So I wake up early in the morning, a little after 5, haven't slept many hours, don't have to get out of bed that early. So I may start scrolling through Instagram and I see a whole bunch of things. And there's some of those things that you see that you want to like, and then you want to share it. Now, I can share it with individual people, or I can add it to a story. Now, it turns out you can only add so many of them before they come back to you and say, hey, we think you're sharing too much. That's my language, but that's what the message intent was about. So, there's nothing you can do about that. Say, okay, I can see that because I'm over this course of these hours, I have shared 5 things, added it to my story page. Even though there's other people who are doing it, but I guess maybe they're saying, well, you only have 150, 155 followers, so you're doing it too much. Hey, what are you going to do? But over the last couple of days, I've been getting messages from Instagram kind of penalizing me because I've shared a video that's already on Instagram. And not only already on Instagram, but a couple of those things have had over 100,000 shares and likes already. So I shared this and now I get suppressed for it. You give me this message. I'm like, what the devil? Now they have a thing where you can debate it in its own way. It says, if you want to challenge this, you can click on this. You have up to 180 days. I decided tonight, I'm going to click one of these and find out what it is. The thing is, they give you the choices that you can select from, but you don't get to say anything about why you shared it or what you thought about it or anything like that. You have these 5 answers that you have. None of the selections that they gave me fit the reason I shared it. The reason I shared it is because it made me laugh. I'm figuring that's why it's on there. The original person who shared it had to have thought it was funny. I looked at some of the comments other people had on it beforehand. They all thought it was funny. And so I shared it. And I get hit for that. And I've got to tell you, that messes up the experience of being on either Instagram or Threads. Like I said, they're both owned by the same company. I've been on Facebook since I think near the end of 2007 or early 2008. I was one of those early adopters. So I've been on there a good long time. I've never gotten a message on Facebook saying that something I posted is a bad thing. Now, that's not totally accurate, but there was one of these things where I shared an image of something. I actually wrote this article and it pulled up something. And this was, when was it? Oh, it was during the time period where they were having these discussions, or a lot of people were having these discussions about the difference between the insurrection on January 6th and when there was like a protest in Washington, D.C. by a Black organization. I'm not exactly sure if it was Black Lives Matter or somebody else. And it pulled up a picture. So I mentioned something to this. And then they sent me something saying, well, this is highlighted wrong. Well, I didn't add the picture. The picture came with the article. Maybe what I wrote, as far as my opinion on it, said something that was different than that picture, but I didn't put the picture up there. And the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't have known what that picture was. Yes, even though I've been to Washington, D.C., maybe 5 or 6 times over all the years, I haven't gone to see a lot of stuff. I've gone there for business meetings. So I didn't know what it was. But in that case, it's like, okay, I understand that's not what this building is. I didn't care, but that wasn't a big deal. But what, like I said, that was probably 2007, 2008. So it's 15 years. And I had nothing that had ever come up before. Actually, let's go back to that. I think that was 2021. So at that point, it's 13 years. That's still a good long time. But it's just that kind of question where if you're getting suppressed for certain things like that, and it's based on stuff that they already have on their platforms, is that fair? And is that something that even if you don't think it's fair or you think it's fair and they decide to kind of suppress you and all this other kind of stuff, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about what's going on that man's platform? Yeah, I still ain't saying his name, where he's given his thing about we're just going to have free speech on this thing, and they've had a lot of people who've left. But then whenever anyone says something about him or something that he posts, he blocks them. So much for free speech. Everyone wants free speech until it's about them. Frankly, I don't necessarily have a big problem with certain things being suppressed, but at least give a reason why it's being suppressed. You know, if you put something up and I say, God, that's kind of stupid, is that bad enough for it to be suppressed? If I come out saying all this stuff, all this vitriol, all this bad language, all this racial stuff, should that be suppressed? I think so. Now you've kind of gone over a line. But on that man's platform, he says no, unless you talk about him. I don't know. This is just one of those kind of things where it's bothered me. And it's bothered me to the point that for the next week, I'm not going on Instagram. And by the way, I shared some stuff through Instagram, and sometimes I have it go to Facebook, but not anyone else's stuff. That's only, just my stuff. And Threads, you know, I think I have put two original things on Threads, but I've shared stuff that other people had put up that I agreed with. They let you do that. They've got the thing there that says repost. So you can push this button or little tab there or whatever, and then it shows up on your profile that you've reshared it. If you don't want people to reshare stuff, then take that off of there. That's my thought. I don't know. Anyway, this is just my version. This is just my rant about these kind of things. I like to know what y'all think. I mean, even YouTube doesn't suppress stuff that much. YouTube's been pretty good. Yeah, see, I'm trying to keep calm. That's why I'm wearing this, because it just irked me so much. I wanted to put it out there. Wanted to see what y'all think. Like I said, I think there are times where things should be suppressed, especially if you're using it for free. I don't have a problem with that. But I think if something is already out there and tons of people have seen it, why do you then go pick and choose when other people are putting things down there? You know? That's just my thought. Anyway, my name's Mitch Mitchell. Let me know what you think. I hope y'all have a wonderful day.